I call to order the Etna Township Board of Trustees regular meeting here on Tuesday, February 4th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Here.
Mr. Burkholder?
Here.
Ms. McKee?
Here.
Ms. McKee, would you lead us in
Sure,
the
absolutely.
invocation,
Please stand if
Thank
you would, and bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you again for this day that you have made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Thank you for bringing us together as a township, and we thank you for representing us as trustees, Father God. We need you to be a part of this meeting. We need you to be a part of our township. We invite you here to help us run this meeting in a professional manner. Lord, we thank you for our military. We ask you to protect them as they come and go, as they protect us, as we live each day in this beautiful country called America. We ask you to continue to bless our township administrator as well as our fiscal officer and all of our workers here in this township. Lord, we ask you to keep your eyes and your ears, that we will continue, that you will hear from us, and we will continue to pray and believe you that we will have the right people in this township so we can get on with the township business. And we thank you in advance for what you're going to do and what you've already done for this township. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Evans, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second? I will second that. Discussion?
Yes, I've got a couple questions. Again, I had zero input on this agenda. The inventory is still not being addressed. That was required the second Monday of the month. The draft that was attempted to be filed, self-filed by the fiscal officer, was incorrect in numerous ways. We're still not dealing with the streaming. I proposed numerous times, and even another one on January 10th for a system that was under $1,000, could be quickly implemented and done. Again, not addressed. Equipment purchases that are needed and have been asked for over a year by the road department still is not being addressed. No update on the planner position. The Hillview vet zoning issue, just a number of issues, but including the zoning hearing that's supposed to be set for tomorrow, that was sent out in a letter on January 17th, which if we're having a meeting tomorrow, it had to be published, so now we can't have a meeting tomorrow, but it's been an ongoing situation since at least September 4th that it's not been enforced. So there's a lot of issues that aren't being addressed. I just want to know why. And why isn't it with the input of all trustees instead of just the board president? Because if you look at the motions at the end, it appears that Mr. Burkholder, who again created this agenda, just wants to dictate on his own what I should address after blocking me from everything. So there's no cooperation, there's no working together, and that's purposeful, and that's a shame because we need to deal with the issues affecting the residents.
Do you have anything else, Mr. Evans?
No.
I just want to make one thing clear here tonight, that this is a repeat of what went on a year ago and the year before. I ask that we continue to move with the agenda with our board president putting the agenda together along with the administrator. And I think if we continue to move that way, we can try to get some of this stuff done. You continue to bring up the recording of the meetings. I mean, you have yours sitting up there, Mr. Evans. There's another one, I think, in the room somewhere. So I haven't heard any resident complain about not having to be able to see the meetings online. So I think that's the least of our worries tonight. There's so much things in this township that we need to address, and that's not one of them right now.
That's a
it's
lack
called
of
priority,
transparency.
and we're going to prioritize our agenda.
There's
and that's
nothing,
how we're going to get things done.
Let her finish,
Okay.
Mr.
I
Evans.
did,
Thank
but
you.
there's nothing being advanced in this township. Even we've got an attorney here with the Broyles development that we're supposed to deal with today that we're not dealing with today, and there was even no communication. We had residents come in last week because nothing was being done for years. And it's just time and time again, but it's shameful that there's this lack of transparency, whether I as a resident or other people record or live stream the meetings, the township should be, and that was a promise by both candidates that has been betrayed. And it's a simple system, it's willful at this point, and again, to try to say that we're moving forward on anything, we aren't. The only thing we moved forward and was the highest priority a couple meetings ago were these new chairs for some to sit in. That should not be a high priority. So that's all I have to say.
Well, Mr. Evans, I respectfully disagree with most of the things that you said. I do want to clarify for the public and for the news media as well that the township administrator and I work very closely together, so it's not mandated by me. We talk about things that are a priority that need to come on. We're not going to continue to relitigate things. The inventory was filed. I'm sorry you disagree.
No, it was not.
I'm sorry you
And it was incorrect.
I'm sorry you disagree with it, Mr. Evans, but I work closely with the administrator to bring those things that are the priorities at this time. So with that said, is there any further discussion?
Yeah, I would just like to ask, can you show me on the inventory where those desks that you purchased are? Or where the purchases of the road department for the salting? They are not on there.
Well, Mr. Evans, as I've said before, when you work together, if there's any problems with an inventory or anything, and you were asked, get with the fiscal officer. Instead of trying to weaponize the agendas and constantly making false narratives and accusations for political reasons, help out with some of these things.
Everything I've stated is true, and I have the administrator stated she speaks to you 3 to 4 times a day. It takes weeks to get a response, and it's obvious what's going on, and it's not right, and there's no cooperation. I had zero to do with this agenda.
Mr. Evans, you've made your point, so I'll call the question, please.
Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve the December 17th, 2024 regular meeting minutes?
I'll move for that.
I'll second it. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Minutes are approved. Is there a motion to approve the January 7th, 2025 organizational meeting minutes?
So moved.
I'll second. Discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
We now have the January 7th, 2025 regular meeting minutes, and I move to approve those as well. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Thank you. Those are approved. Now comes public comments. You have 3 minutes. If you will please come to the podium, please state your name and address. And I guess I want to make a public service announcement. Let's not take personal attacks, if you will. I don't want to limit anybody's ability for free speech and to express your concerns or if you have a problem. But the temperature in Etna Township definitely needs to be lowered. Both by officials and by our community. And whatever I or the board can do to facilitate that more, I think it's important. I think the image that we have is something that we need to take seriously. So we certainly welcome you to come to the podium. And if you have a question, we'll probably answer it at the end. But is there anyone at this time that would like to come up? Please state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes. Thank you.
I'd like to speak as a resident first. Mark Evans, 910 North Church Road. Again, speaking as a resident because I'm silenced as a trustee. What we just heard from Mr. Burkholder is just a lot of hot air because the situation we are in is caused by Mr. Burkholder and Ms. McKee over the last year and 3 years. By ignoring, working together cooperatively, and even ignoring basic things. I've had to, as an official, put in a public records request for documents and information, and it's being ignored. The video I've requested regarding the threat against me by the fiscal officer's live-in boyfriend has been ignored. And this is another topic I brought up before, where the administrator does not have the authority to speak to that vendor. The vendor only listens to Mr. Burkholder by design. And if you recall, I as trustee attempted to give the full authority to the administrator, which Mr. Burkholder and Ms. McKee withheld. That's not right. Our administrator should have full authority with everybody, but they will not talk to her and provide information to her as administrator. That's wrong. You want to hold on to as much control as possible, and now we hear you want to run for higher office and keep both jobs. We'll see tomorrow when the deadline comes, but are you in it for Etna or yourself and a payday? It's obvious that you can't handle this because you don't return calls. Again, we have the attorney from Broyles here that wasn't even contacted in thinking that it was going to be addressed today, and it's not. And I hear it time and time again from vendors, residents. I heard you went to residents after they came in and complained that you did nothing for a year. Little too little, little too late, and still nothing done. The issue on Palmer Road with the trucks that everybody's been pleading to deal with. Ignored. We're supposed to have a meeting tomorrow, and yesterday we hear, well, what's the availability of everybody? That should have been done at scheduling. But again, we have to post a public meeting. So what, now we're not going to enforce the zoning again? More delays? So it impacts residents? There's a lot of words that have been said by both the trustees sitting up there that have been violated. And that's not right. All I want is for what's right to be done. This agenda wasn't cooperative. You're the one stopping cooperation. You're the one refusing to cooperate. It's unbelievable. And when I have to talk to professionals and explain to them the dysfunction and mismanagement going on here, and again, I've been removed from everything. I get outvoted by everyone. I get blocked by 2 votes. So all of this dysfunction is on the 2 blocking. I don't have the control to do stuff here. And again, even like today, this agenda isn't
30
even on,
seconds.
This agenda isn't even on the website. You've still failed to allow the proper implementation of the diligent software that would easily correct it. I've said time and time again to have it corrected, and it's not.
Well, Mr. Evans, my only response
This
is
is a public comments, isn't it?
you have, no, I want to respond to something you said. Only one thing I want to respond to, because you're making a false statement. And what I want to respond, and I'll have our township administrator, she did talk to the security company. Is that correct, Ms. Bedsole, regarding the video?
As of last week, I did meet with the vendor for about 3 hours. I have full access. I do need to speak with you just about the size of files.
But they didn't initially, because you even said that they want a letter from the board because they weren't gonna, we can't kowtow around this. We can't play niceties when things aren't being done.
She's
No,
responding to your question.
you're
Mr.
trying
They did, but I
to
do have full.
dismiss it, but Ms.
His time is
Bedsole,
up.
Ms. Bedsole, you did not have access.
I said
We've had
as of
conversations
last-
about
as of
Order.
last week,
Point
I
of
have
order.
full access.
Ding, ding, ding.
There's a point of order on the floor, Ms. McKee. Your point of order.
John Kennard,
Mr. Kennard, please wait.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I wanted to make sure that we are aware of your ask for the cameras. And as you know, Mr. Evans, this has been going on for 2.5 years with you about cameras. Our administrator's been out under dealing with her health, and I just wish that you would just give her some grace. That's all
No,
I-
don't, I
So
have given
last-
her great, I have talked to her, but when there's admitting that there's communication with the board president 3 to 4 times a day, and that we need to move things forward, but again, there's not, and I won't reveal our conversations, but there's frustration on the administrator's side, and I'm fully in agreement with it. Again, she did not have access, and
We will be dealing with that comment at the end that you just made, because I know you also put it out on Facebook, so we're gonna get that clarified at the end of the meeting. Mr. Kennard, you have the floor, and you have 3 minutes. State your name again, please, and
John
your address.
Kennard, 10785 Palmer Road. You just started the meeting saying you'd like to lower the temperature, and then Butthole gets up here and raises the temperature back up. He is the reason that this meeting is ran like it is. When he was president, you know, it was a joke right off the get-go. The other 2 trustees figured him out real fast and took that title away from him. He's now had the vice president's title taken away from him. We got an investigation who had access to the banking accounts, and I'd be willing to bet you whose name's on that. He had illegal access to the security cameras. He just puts off his work, his assignments. McKee, the president, assigned him to maintain that door over there. That door over there, he brought up in a meeting that was rusting and it's falling off the hinges, just terrible shape. The building's falling apart and we need to get maintenance going on it. She assigned that to him over 2 years ago. You look at that door, everybody look at that bottom of that door over there. It's still just like that. And now there's a motion to put him in charge of the maintenance. Really? I got a suggestion for you. Why don't you get a job on the road crew, and you could have your trustee time, you could have a full-time job. You already say on Facebook that you can't do your regular job because the township work is just so much that you just didn't realize. When you was a president, you said the work here was just so much that we need an administrator. You caused havoc with that part-time administrator. You caused havoc with our second administrator. You caused havoc with our third administrator. So, you know, it's just constant. You are constantly raising trouble with the crew. You get up here as a trustee, take your hat off and say, I'm a resident now, and bash these 2. That's it. I'm done. If I wanted to hear an asshole speak, I'd fart.
no, you've been attacking me since I was a resident.
Mr. Evans, please. Go ahead.
Phyllis Bundy, 10254 Tollgate Road Southwest, and I will not be sucked into this thing of calling names. I don't care who you are. It's disrespectful for the whole township. That's you. Thank you. It's really a shame that our township has come to this when you get up to this podium to address something that's a legitimate problem, and you have other people who are attacking everybody in this place. I just think it's so disrespectful for everyone. I have a question that I think is a legitimate question, and if not, you can tell me. I want to know, are the trustees going to become a part of the multi-township group for future development? That's the first part. Who's going to do that? Who's going to do that, and how much will they be getting paid to attend that?
I'm not aware of that.
So you're not going to be a part of the multi-township meetings?
I'm not sure what the details of that group, what they are, and whether the township will or won't. Maybe the other trustees know, but I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, so I need to get more information and bring it back to you then?
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
That, or we can look into it. Where did you get that from? What source was
Well,
that?
it's been in the Advocate
Mm-hmm.
about who's going to attend those, because we are all of the townships in Licking County are going to be, they need to all get together to give input in what's going to be happening to the county, you know, for future development.
I can say I haven't looked into it, but we've all received that email.
Okay.
I don't think that was the name of it, but It was about providing input in that, I don't know if it's through MORPC, but regarding the future developments of the area.
Correct.
And
That's what
yes,
it is.
that email did go out to the full board.
Well, we certainly would want to be at the table with those and participate. One of the challenges we currently have is a lack of staffing. We had a in-house planner, which we no longer have, and so now, until we get the new planner hired and we get the new administrator hired, but any type of meeting that we can participate in and have input and be at the table would be beneficial. What the details of that are, of that group, I don't know.
And the only thing I would like to say is there's a lot of excuses if we don't have staff. We approved that position to be filled almost a year ago to this day, February 20th, and it was purposely not filled.
That's not
So,
true, Mr.
yes, it
Evans.
was.
No, it's not.
Yes, it was.
That,
So
that horse has been killed about 15 times, so let's move on. You have more time, so let's let you.
No, that's what I wanted to know about, because like I say, I've read that in the Newark Advocate, and I wondered if, who's going to do that to protect the whole protect the whole township.
And it should be part of the agenda discussion by this board, and that's been my frustration and why I've been vocal.
Okay,
that we're
Mr.
not
Evans.
sir, you had your time, but that's why we're not addressing these things as we
Okay,
should.
well, I will look into it more, and I will get back to you again about it.
I appreciate that, and
Okay.
thanks for bringing that up as well.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Anyone else at this time?
Ryan Davis, 8807 Watkins Road. I went through my hills and valleys with my emotions sitting in the crowd several times. The frustration I've had is now just disappointment. Mr. Evans puts in a lot of work to set up his cameras, and I'm just disappointed that he still hasn't posted a meeting since October.
That's not correct.
Interrupting, please. Lost my train of thought. No, it's just very sad. I tried to quit from using the word fight because one trustee chooses to use it all the time. I feel like fighting should be something you hear from the crowd, not somebody in a leadership position that can do something about it. I would like I'll offer an idea for Mr. Evans to lower the temperature of the room during trustee comments. I think he should apologize to the community for the last meeting. His storytelling did not require a profane gesture, and I felt that was very disappointing to see from an elected official. Thank you.
Well, on that, I know you are circulating that in a disingenuous way, but I was explaining what Miss McKee did to me in that room there, shoving her middle finger in my face, and you probably don't want me to repeat what she said.
Mr. Evans, you bring this up every meeting. You need to get over it so we can move on with the business of the township.
Yeah, I need to get over being physically and verbally attacked in there. Sure, yeah.
Well,
You were the one that ran out of here when she called the sheriff on you.
Those are allegations.
We
Mr.
have
Evans.
the deputy
Go ahead,
right here
Mr.
that
Evans.
responded.
You're out of order, Mr. Evans.
I've got the
Please
report.
control yourself.
I've got the audio.
Please control yourself, so Mr.
You're just lying.
Davies. Well, that's what you say about everybody every meeting. So go ahead, Mr. Davis.
I'm not circulating the picture, and I do know the picture was taken down off of Facebook. So what is frustrating again is I wasn't trying to create back and forth between the trustees or comments to myself after I spoke, but I feel that it's a very easy solution to turn it around if you do, sir, want to be reelected. Change your tone, get some things done. Certain things won't get done the way you like, but if there's any job here that I'm sure if you ask, how can I help, somebody can figure out something you can do. Thank you.
And this is the solution to the meetings, but as you heard, Ms. McKee doesn't want it.
Anyone else at this time, please? Go ahead.
Roxanne Diani at 15131 Palmer Road, which is on the corner of Palmer and Taylor. And I just wanted to let you know that I had written a letter to the Licking County School Planning Board for Schools. And I just wanted to read a little bit of my letter so that you are aware of where I stand on this matter. I hope this letter finds you well. I am writing to express my strong concern regarding the current school district zoning for the residents of Etna, Ohio, which, where I live, we are going to Reynoldsburg schools, which places our community under the jurisdiction of Reynoldsburg School District. I respectfully request that you consider a zoning change that would allow the children in this area to attend Southwest Licking schools instead, as this adjustment would be in the best interest of both our children and our community. At present, families in Etna are paying school taxes to Reynoldsburg City Schools, yet those funds are being allocated to a district whose academic performance is significantly lacking. According to the Ohio Department of Education's recent school rating, Reynoldsburg schools have been classified as failing, with low performance indicators across multiple grade levels. This is a concerning trend that negatively affects the educational opportunities available to our children in our community. In contrast, Southwest Licking schools are consistently rated among the best in the region with high academic performance and a proven track record of excellence. These schools are ranked significantly higher than the Reynoldsburg in terms of test scores, graduation rates, and overall student achievement. This difference in the quality of education between the two districts is very stark, and it is crucial the children in Etna have access to superior education resources available to Southwest Licking. The current system means that the families in Etna are paying taxes that benefit Reynoldsburg schools, which are not meeting the educational needs of our children. It is fundamentally unfair for local taxpayers to contribute to a district that is struggling when our children could attend a well-rated district with Southwest Licking. Shifting the school zoning would ensure that the taxes paid by residents are directed toward the educational needs of our local children. In conclusion, the current zoning arrangement is not only a financial inequity, but disservice to the children of Etna. By reallocating our school district boundaries to Southwest Licking schools, we would be prioritizing the educational success of our children while ensuring that the local tax dollars are spent where they are most needed. And I urge the Licking County Regional Planning Commission to consider these factors and to support change to the school district zoning for the betterment of our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Who's next, please?
Hello, Ashley King, 75 Trail East.
Could you speak up just a little bit?
Yeah,
so we
sorry.
can-
Is that
Thank
better?
you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if what I've heard is accurate or not, but I want to make sure that I put my 2 cents in about it. I heard that there was some talk about Mr. Evans being over the comp plan open house and other items to do with the comp plan that me and others worked on. Personally, if that is the case, I am not okay with that, and the 6 other people I talked to are also not okay with that. He's already undermined the comp plan itself publicly, and it's an insult to us that he would do that, considering how many hours and how much time we put into this comp plan and how many hours we spent looking through each and every item. And Mr. Burkholder, you were there. I mean, you know how long we took to deal with this.
Yes, I do.
And I just want to make sure that that's heard. I know that some people probably have reached out, but I just want to make sure that you know that I have talked to quite a few people that also agree with that. When it comes to the atmosphere in Etna I think everybody knows what the problem is. It's being professional, taking down the negative, putting more positive out there would really help. And unfortunately, when you have a trustee that doesn't know how to be professional and not negative, you're going to have a continuous problem. He can't let go of the past. Things that have happened in the past that might have upset him are stuck in his head. So, just wanted to throw that out there. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Ashley.
The nonsense continues, the mismanagement.
John Hanson, Ridgewood Drive, Etna, Ohio. I am going to change my plain comments and try and respect what you said about.
Could you speak up? I can't hear you.
I am going to try and change my comments that I was going to make and lower the rhetoric a little bit. But one thing I did want to say was if you go to etnasurvey.com, I have posted the results of the Etna survey that I had. It was on the billboard up there for less than 10 days, but Mr. Evans really promoted it on Facebook, and we ended up with 120 respondents. I would suggest take a look at that. If you download the PDF, there's 2 or 3 pages of comments, and only about 7 or 8% are profane or profanity towards me. And but it's quite enlightening. Some of it's quite humorous, but it is very informative about the view. Now this is a snapshot of people on Facebook all the time. So as Mr. Evans says, it's not a scientific. It's not a scientific poll, which it wasn't meant to be. It was me asking questions. I posted it. No one prompted me to post it, and I did it on my own, and it cost very little money. I have to echo what Ashley King said about Mark being in charge of the comp plan or anything, because I think you can kind of see that Mr. Evans can weaponize anything. If he has nothing else, it's weaponizing the agenda and calling the other people liars. On the January 7th meeting, I did an analyzation of the transcript from that. He called the others liars 26 times. I think 21 times liar and others disingenuous, you're not telling the truth, that type of stuff. And the last thing I'd like to talk about, I think we all know, and the survey, I think 80-some% caught it, that Etna community bans any talk that disagrees with Mark's rhetoric. So he has his political appointees remove people. So
Who runs that page? Just curious, because I keep hearing that.
I guess
That's not the fiscal officer's attack page. That's a different one you're talking about?
no, it's Mark's attack page.
Go ahead,
No, it's not.
Go
I have
ahead.
nothing to do with that.
Go ahead,
I know.
Mr. Hanson. I don't want to.
But anyway, Evans has a standard policy: blame, complain, and defend, and then attack, to distract the blame from himself. So I agree with Brian here also, or Ryan? Ryan, we'll go with Ryan. That he should apologize, especially for the July 2nd profanity attack coming out of the meeting. It's kind of contempt on the citizens of Etna. And also for the August 6th contemptuous attack, trying to appoint himself by fiat to be the president of the board. So Evans would not allow any viewpoint to be out there without him immediately answering it that differs from his own ideology. So that's about all I have to say.
Thank you.
Etnasurvey.com.
Thank you.
Chuck Bundy, 10254 Tollgate Road, Southwest. I look forward to I see on the agenda tonight there's something about a comprehensive plan. I don't know how many years this comprehensive plan has been addressed. I came to a meeting a year or so ago, and it was kind of sad because everything was out of date. But I look forward to it to be done, because maybe if a comprehensive plan had been put in effect some time ago, perhaps wouldn't be facing this concrete plant thing going on Tollgate Road. Maybe the comprehensive plan, maybe something would have been done about Scannell. Scannell has been talked about for years, and nothing's been done about that. So I kind of look forward to the comprehensive plan. You go, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Matthew Rasberg, 46 Cedar Park Boulevard. Sorry. Matthew Rasberg, 46 Cedar Park Boulevard. A couple questions in regards to township business. Looking over the agenda, and it's the pipeline is a concerning thing. It's sad enough that we've already lost a bunch of acreage to the disastrous Drake Hill project. But now to see a pipeline of any sort, unless it's going to be clean water running through the park property, when we don't know how we're going to develop it yet, I think it is premature. And then, continuations of contracts. I still to this day cannot understand why we have to have 3 different law firms on retainer. And at least there's a copy of the contract for official, but I'd like to see what the grading contract is and the max on it, just to see, because that's a lot of money that we just don't have in the budget like we used to anymore. So I'd like to see some of that before that's approved as a resident. And just, I really wish we could get more of this type of business done when we're here. So with that, that's all I got. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you. Now have the administrators report.
Sure.
Ms. Bedsole, please.
One of the things that I should have actually have included in here is just an update on the.
The microphone, please. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Is an update on the planner position. As you know, we approved the posting of that, which was posted that same week. It closed, not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before that. So then we had to go through all of the applications. We have narrowed it down to some final candidates. Interviews are this Friday. So I'm hoping that when I bring it back to the board, there will be a decision made on one of the candidates, and of course we'll have to give them time to for their exit from their current employer. But I'm hoping that within the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks maximum, we've got a planner in here on staff, which is going to really help fill a gap that we currently have. I did want to mention, because it was mentioned before, the Palmer Road. One of the things is that we just got the resolution passed that allowed us to give to the prosecutor the approval by the board to ask for opinions. And so that was one of the issues that we did take to the prosecutor's office. And honestly, we've been getting answers back, as late as yesterday, I think, from them. And so we had taken a path that we believed was the correct path based on what we had done before, but the prosecutor's office has told us that we don't have to take that path. So as to that, we are canceling that. We don't have to have a hearing on that. All of the paperwork that we sent out previously was sufficient to notify them of a violation. They had time to appeal that. They did not appeal that. We will move forward with whatever action the board decides is in the best interest of the township with respect to that piece of property. We, of course, will still continue to try and work with them, because it's always best if we can get them to abate the issue. But if not, we have the township has the ability to take that matter into its own hands. That, of course, would take some planning and those types of things.
When
But
did we realize that we didn't have to take that path? And
literally, I think it was yesterday.
okay, I would just ask for. I mean,
That's
I
why
changed.
that's why I wanted to give the update. I mean, I just got that forwarded to me from the
But
prosecutor's
if it was
office.
yesterday, communication is key, and I changed my schedule to accommodate that
I
because I was
understand.
told that. However, why aren't we addressing that tonight? Because you just said that whatever the board decides on that, so why aren't we addressing that tonight instead of delaying it for another meeting?
Well, because right now we have had some contact from the owners who appear at this moment to be willing to take some action on their own. And I think it's in the best interest of the township monetarily if we allow them to, if they are going to abate the issue, then they are. We, on the other hand, I don't know that, what would happen, it depends on, honestly, it would depend on what the cost is, whether or not it has to come to the board. It could be that it just could come under my authority and we can abate for just
Well,
that.
my concern is we've had, again, this whole past year, didn't know the process, didn't know, there was no enforcement, and they've received letters. I think the first one, I brought it to the attention of the zoning department in September 4th, as well others. No, the first letter went out in November. They ignored that and actually increased the violations. I have no problem working with somebody, but they haven't showed good faith. So we're going to give them more time. We need to start enforcing, and then that gives them the initiative to, hey, we've got to do it instead of all these broken promises.
I would
I'm
say,
just afraid of more delays.
I hear what you're saying.
Go
At
ahead.
first, there was enforcement all along there. We did have to go back and kind of make sure that we had the right words in the paperwork. But at the end of the day, there has been enforcement since that time. You know, we've had a lot of turnover during that time. We've had people who are trying to take care of that issue that, you know, again, sometimes it is just the first time that everyone in the room is dealing with an issue, and it takes you just a hot minute to make sure we want to do things the correct way. I'm not saying we're giving them a whole bunch more time. What I'm saying is that as we move forward with our own, because I believe that it is the feeling of the township that we need to abate. If they're not going to abate it, we need to abate it. I mean, I do feel that that is the feeling of the township. And so, but while we get our ducks in a row to do that abatement, if I can get them to do some of it, I'm certainly going to make sure that I allow them to do that.
Right.
But it's not going to push our timeline forward.
Well,
So I just want to make sure we're not giving them
we
more
had a
time.
consultant at $80 an hour during this entire period from September till December 31st, and the process wasn't addressed. And those are the things that are being missed. And I'm sorry to be harsh about this, but even the prosecutor opinions, I've been pushing since October, and it's going to be, we're going to do it, we're next meeting, it's just on and on and on.
We know
So
we-
we need to just address it because there's more than just one person that can, but it's not allowed.
No, that isn't, when you say it's not allowed, that's not correct. First of all, just a brief history, a brief recap. The reason we can't get direct answers from the prosecutor is because of the dysfunctionality up here. We have to pass a resolution now. We can't pick up the phone. We've clarified it a little bit that the zoning department can call directly since the prosecutor represents them as well. But in addition to that, we now have a different prosecutor, assistant prosecutor, and I'm talking about Licking County prosecutor. I'm not sure what Bryce is. I know his first name is Bryce. He's taken over the case from Amy Gill. And they have given us, there are nuisances, zoning violations, and then self-help remedies. And so they're defining that process. Now, tall grass and those, that's a little easier thing to abate. But in this case, we're talking about a violation of the use of the property. The use of that property is not allowed in according to that zoning on that particular parcel. We want to make certain that our process is correct and airtight and that we give due process. And the administrator is correct. The response just came yesterday. I knew about it. I was here. There's also been talk that there may be the opportunity to fine, which is in our zoning resolution. Our zoning resolution, which is basically our zoning code, is not the most up to date. It too needs to be completely rewritten. So I think everyone can share the sentiment that we wish all these things would move more quickly, but they must be done correctly. And constantly criticizing the process or the staff, or saying that it's not an excuse when you don't have people to do the work, that's counterproductive. So there is a brief update on why this has taken so long, but the administrator is correct. It is moving forward, and we are working with the prosecutor to make sure we do it correctly. Go ahead, Administrator Bedsole.
Yeah, I mean, essentially I was going to say similar words, that in my opinion, I would rather take an extra 30 days and do it correctly than have put the township at risk because we didn't do something correctly. That's one reason why we set the hearing, just to make sure. We thought, well, maybe we need to have that, but as it turned out, we weren't required to have
My
that.
point is professionally, this is since September 4th.
You made your point.
It could have been dealt with numerous times, but my frustration is that this was a one-off, that's fine, but it's every
Mr.
issue,
Evans,
every
Mr. Evans,
corner,
Mr. Evans, you are being disruptive to the.
No, it's not disruptive.
You say it over and over.
I've
again.
tried to have this taken care of last
You're
year.
interrupting the administrator. Please go ahead.
The only thing I would add is that, we spoke earlier of priorities, and the fact is that that is one of many projects that are currently pending, violations that are currently pending. And the fact is, when you, I know you don't like it when we mention staff, but when you have one person who is now responsible for all of those things, they have to be prioritized, and they come in due time. And so the fact is that, I've worked in a lot of local jurisdictions, and we are not out of the normal range of how long it takes to do something, especially when the township is about to take action. That is action for abatement purposes. Right. We just don't do that very often, and that's just a heavier lift.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so we mentioned, just to hit a couple other points in the report. We did mention, we did mention Scannell before, and I did want to just highlight. I put a summary paragraph in the report, but again, that's another project that it's not easy to just have the answer and fix it all in 1 week. And so, but we now have the county. The Licking County Planning Commission is definitely involved in, there's just a lot of moving parts. There's our parts, there's their part, there's, the subdivision which they're responsible for. But we do have some movement on that project, and I think some decent conversations that I'm hoping will resolve those issues.
My concern is, again, and it's been stated by Neville over in county, and that the county deals with the county stuff. As it says in here, that the county commission dealing with the zoning violations. They don't deal with zoning violations. That's right. Us. It's separate, and we've taken no action. We've actually, the outside counsel was supposed to deal with that. Mr. Burkholder actually wasn't truthful, saying that it was in progress, that nothing's been looked at on our side as far as enforcement. And this is giving the people a false sense of what's going on, because the county deals with the county stuff, the landscaping, and we have to deal with the other things that's still not, after more than 3, I've met with them before I took my seat. and then I was pulled and blocked from any communications.
you weren't blocked.
So but my concern is, again, we talk about priorities, and I asked for a list, what are the list of priorities then? And I haven't seen any that we can address quite a few things, and I'll take umbrage with that we have one employee. Well, until December 31st, we had the consultant, Lance Schultz, in here 3 days a week. We had the employee, we had McBride, Dale, the whole
Okay.
firm.
Do you have a question?
We've had
Do you have
enough
a
staff.
question? You
No,
gone-
but
you've
what I'm
gone through
talking
this every
here,
meeting.
what
And
we're,
we dealt with multiple projects.
No,
I
but
mean,
what I'm saying on
It's not that there was no
Skinell-
work going on during that time period.
But-
Yes, we had all of those people here, and I can show you a list of all of the things that we were successful at bringing in new developers, helping them out, doing all of those things, dealing with,
but that's what I'm talking about priority, because these are people that are suffering from the impacts, and we need to make that a priority. And that's why I asked for a list of priorities. What are we gonna deal with? But a lot of them, I think, can be, like I said, we had the outside counsel that was never given it, even though we were told it was in progress, and it wasn't.
Well, Mr. Evans, they recommended that we do a survey of the wall. I brought it to the board and.
But we don't know we
you
can
did-
enforce
You did not
anything.
support it. I
That
understand
was the thing, and again, you
Okay.
were
Do you have
handling
any
it
more,
mismanaged.
Mr. Evans, you've repeated this for 6 months. Do you have anything else, Mr. Bitzel?
no.
Okay, very good, thank you. Under old business, item A, I'm gonna make a motion to waive the spousal contribution for health insurance until the earlier of 12/31/25 or until the Board of Trustees adopts a different policy. Is there a second? Is there a second?
I'll make a motion, well, I guess we can wait for that.
Is there a second?
You want to waive the spousal contribution, so you're basically saying the spousal.
Well, if there's a, let's have a second.
I'll
Oh,
second.
Second, discussion, go ahead.
discussion.
Yep, Ms. McKee.
So basically, right now, we have a resolution in place where there's some things in place. For instance, if you have a spouse that does not carry any kind of insurance, meaning they don't work or their company doesn't offer insurance, we are allowing them to be on our insurance at a cost. Now, remind you, this was from 2015, so the wages are a little bit more. I got a report from our insurance company. In order to add your spousal on, there's like $800-something. It's not free, okay? The employee is free. And that's a benefit to the actual employee. I don't think the township should be putting the spouses on our insurance. We have to pay for that. It's not free. So if we can, in certain circumstances, if the spouse does not have the insurance, we could pick it up, but there is a cost. We should not be offering them insurance for free. I just it makes no sense to me. Insurance is very expensive. We can't just keep giving out,
You have some comments, Mr. Evans?
Several. First of all, the policy in the past was there's no cost. I know Mr. Johnson had his spouse covered, there was no cost. We can't make a change, number one, for any of the elected officials, and I was told, again, this would need to be confirmed, that we cannot offer employees less coverage than ours. So if we can't change ours, you're trying to charge the employees more for coverage that they've been getting. Now, the whole question on here was about the spousal carve-out. If they have insurance available to them, is there a charge if they come to us? Now, what I proposed was a well-thought-out policy that states that they'll be covered at no cost. However, many places, like Pataskala and other government agencies, will actually pay the employee if they don't take the insurance. Pataskala is $3,000, I believe City of Newark's $1,200. So my policy covers that if they do come onto our policy, that the cost would match any monies that they receive from their employer, because there should be a windfall. What Mr. Burkholder, you're proposing is just cover them, and if they get a $3,000 windfall, hey, great for them, and it's just additional costs. I don't think that's right, but I don't think we should penalize them, because you don't know what kind of different insurance there is. Our insurance, many people don't know, we pay $0 for the policy. We pay 0 deductible, 0 copay. There is not a dime out of pocket for any of the officials sitting here or any of the employees. And again, that's what I was told, that the officials can't have better coverage than the employees. So how do you think we got to 0 cost for anything? I've never seen it in private business, and talking to the broker, you only see this in townships and government entities. But we can't change ours. So Ms. McKee's talking about increasing costs, and number one, we'll probably lose employees or hard to attract employees because our pay is underneath what a lot of the other places that they can go to. So you have to take wages and benefits. And when I was looking at it, as far as like comparing to Pataska or anything, the benefit of the insurance was another like $3 an hour. So that kind of puts us at par with the others so we can compete, but we're gonna lose employees possibly or not be able to attract them. I'm just not sure why, Mr. Burkholder, you would possibly allow an employee to get a windfall.
Well, Mr. Evans, first of all, full disclosure, I'm not on the township's health insurance, so it doesn't affect me. This was not brought up by me. This was brought up by the employees, Mr. Evans, who had talked to you. The problem we have is that we have that 2015 policy. I don't know that anyone on the board was aware of that until recently. And the question on the 2015 policy, was it just for that policy year or did it carry forward to 2024? The problem we have is we've already offered some township employees a waiver. They don't have to pay $400 a month. In other words, that old policy was not imposed on some of the current township employees as it pertains to their spouse. But we have some employees that have inquired, I would like to put my spouse on the township insurance as well. And are we now going to charge those employees who haven't had that benefit $400? And we've had this conversation isn't new. We've had it for several meetings.
Right.
We've had robust conversations with the administrator. And I think, how can you treat one employee one way regarding their spouse and another employee the other way? That's discrimination, and I feel that puts us at a liability. What we're proposing tonight, and I did not vote for this, and I think 2 meetings maybe in a row, and you actually brought it up, Mr. Evans, regarding the insurance, but I agree with the administrator. This is a stopgap measure to treat all employees currently at the township fairly. But if you notice, it sunsets at 12/31/25. It's only good until the end of the year. And in conversations, not only myself, but the board with the administrator was, let's revamp this whole thing, which doesn't negate what you've already done, Mr. Evans. I think that kind of information should go to the administrator so that we set forward a policy for the year 2026. This is probably something that should have been looked at in more detail previously.
Right.
By other boards as well, is what is competitive, and that would include our compensation package for our employees.
Well, I'd like to correct you that you said we just were aware of this. No, when Ms. McKee was here, that was the whole thing about the former fiscal officer's spouse not coming over and being charged, and that was talked about and dealt with at that time.
I wasn't on the board. I wasn't on the board, so I wasn't.
Right, I did. But however, again, why would you stopgap and say doing this? Because again, I do know, I feel treat everybody equal. They shouldn't have to pay for the spouse. Fine, but I do know there's one employee whose spouse the policy is a $1,200 payment if they're not on the insurance. So that's not treating everybody equal, because they're going to come over and they'll actually get $1,200 in their pocket to be on our insurance.
So what's your recommendation?
This policy, which I forwarded to everybody on January 10th, was that there is no cost for spousal coverage, whether they have insurance or not. However, if they have insurance, the cost for our policy is whatever they get. and there's auditing, and they have to annually attest that their spouse does not. This is the fair and professional way to deal with it, and I just don't understand why we can't deal with it properly.
Well, first of all, we are not an entity of 50 or more people. So insurance, we are paying for it. It's not free. You keep saying free. The township pays for it. Okay, so right now our deductible is around 75, almost 10 grand. That's about what our deductible is. Who pays that? The township pays that. So it's not free. Okay, so we got to make that clear. When you brought up Mr. Johnson, the carve out was his wife did not work. So it's set up like that. Now, if you have a spouse that doesn't work, that needs to be on the insurance, they can be on there as that carve out. And back then it was $400. That was in 2015, I believe. But the cost now is a little bit different. It's about $800 per spouse, from what I've seen when I got the report from the insurance company.
Okay.
Second of all, I want to make it clear too that we need to talk about this because you keep talking about free. So if you have insurance from your employer and your spouse does, they have to take that first. And that's why it was set up the way it was set up. They would have to take it from their employer first. They don't offer that, then they can be on ours, and it will be a cost. We cannot, again, it's a benefit to the employee, not to their spouse. Now, when you have spouses that are on the insurance, our deductible is going to go through the roof. Right now it's $10,000. It's going to go even more so because we're a small entity. It's only 15 of us, maybe 12, but that's it.
Ms. Bessel, I don't know if you were present for the discussion. The thing with Mr. Evans' proposal, I thought there was an enforcement, how we could enforce other entities to reveal what.
I had a concern regarding impacting incentives of someone that does not work for us, that works for another employer. I think that we have the ability to, I think if we're going to create a policy, it needs to be equal across the board. I don't know that it's $3,000 for this person, it's $1,200 for this person simply because they work for different employers. I haven't done the research on that. That just sits with me as questionable at this time. And again, I think that is part of, I want to remind us that what we plan to do is look at our insurance in totality. It's more than just that. Do we want to offer at no cost to the township short-term, long-term disability, for example, as an incentive to our own employees, as part of the package? Again, they would pay for it.
Very much so. I went through this with a previous employee here in the township. They wanted that disability insurance.
Right.
Very expensive. We as a township should be paying for that.
Right.
If you want to get Aflac,
right.
You get it, you pay for it yourself.
Yeah.
I didn't think that, now that's just, but I think we need to get the administrator in here from the insurance company. Have them come in, present.
Exactly.
That's exactly what we should be doing.
Exactly.
And that's what should happen.
We've been talking about this since mid last year, and even before that, I brought it up. We were supposed to, again, the delays in January, deal with all this stuff. We're not. The short term, it's physical work with the road crew and that. I think they should, and even the life insurance. But we need to do it. But on McKee's point, I don't think she even understands the cost of it. It's not just the premium, because we go to a high deductible plan to save premiums.
I understand.
So our exposure is actually higher, and depending on how you calculate it at 45% utilization of the HRA or not.
That is a discussion for a later date.
No, but that's with this, but
Administrator Bedsole, what's your recommendation relative to this motion? Should we move forward with this so that at least during the year 2025, we're treating everyone fairly with regard to what they would have to pay the township if they want to put their spouse, because some of them have their spouses on now.
Well, and they shouldn't be on there.
Well, if we're actually able to get prosecutor responses.
She didn't know. Our fiscal officer did not know. So she put them on there, and she has on their family. And we do not cover family. We cover, example, under the HIPAA law, your kids can be on your insurance up until 26. We can put them on there, but doesn't mean it has to be free. We can, as a board, decide to charge for that.
But-
We don't have, it doesn't have to be free. I know you like the word free, Mr. Evans, around, because it's not your money. It's not your money. It's the township's money, which it means is we
Yeah,
have
I didn't
to
buy
be
two
conservative with our
security systems. I'm
spending.
aware of-
Okay,
But-
And those are the options that would come back to you. This is our
Right.
actual
Yes.
cost. Do you choose to pass the whole cost? Do you choose to pass 25%?
There's a
of the
lot
cost?
to it. There's moving
Whatever,
parts.
whatever
Yes.
that looks like,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
to
Well,
me,
but again,
those
we
are-
cannot change it for officials, adding, not
understand.
adding, not nothing.
I'm going to call the question.
Can I say something?
Sure,
Sir,
absolutely.
yes,
That's
please.
important.
Ms. Phillips.
The union contract's up in May 30th.
Yep.
The health insurance up for renewal May 30th.
May 1st, I
That-
thought.
I thought it was
Around the
June.
same, end of May, first of June.
So you're betting, right there, you have to have a new union contract and a new insurance.
Yep.
So why not make it so that it's all together?
That's the plan. I mean, that's the plan.
So
We need to
instead
bring
of
all of
going
those
on-
options back. The board makes the
But we
decision on
can't
what that
change
looks
it
like.
for, like,
I mean, I think that there has to be some research into your issue regarding,
but my contention again is we've been talking about, we need to look at it, research, and it was all supposed to be dealt with in January and it wasn't. And my concern is it's just being kicked down the road, and I don't think there's a lot of understanding about what's in it. I dealt with this intimately with the fire district and their insurance for 98 members and all the options, all of that, with the contract, with the,
I'm going to call the question.
And let me just one more thing real quick, just so
This
you
will
know,
be the
there's
last
some,
comment.
okay, some spouse have insurance from the employer and they could choose not to take it, but get a reimbursement from their employer and then jump on ours. You know that. So,
right, and
That's
that's,
and
what I'm
that's what
saying.
he's talking about, yeah.
right,
But we
exactly.
have to charge. I mean, we just can't just say, oh.
and it should be whatever amount they get is equal to or under our costs should be reimbursed to the township. It's not forcing the employer, it's just the employee is attesting whether they are or not. I
I'm
mean,
calling the question. Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
no.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
No.
And I'll move to approve the policy I submitted on January 10th that thoroughly deals with this. And if we need to change in the future, we can change it, but this allows for the spousal coverage, but doesn't allow for a windfall.
Is there a second to the motion? Is there a second to the motion? Motion fails for lack of second. Item B, Broyles Farm, Section 1, Final Plat Review and Signing. I'm going to ask the administrator, we've had a discussion on this.
We have had a discussion. There was, the original plan was to have a final decision at this meeting. However, due to some delays, unexpected delays, we are going to push that decision to the next meeting. I do know that we were in contact with you today. I want to make it clear that they had an understanding that it was not going to be decided at this meeting and that it would be decided at the next meeting, and they still chose to come to this meeting. It's my understanding, so just to be clear, there was communication. It
But at
wasn't-
what, can I ask what time they were informed?
Once the decision was made, which was earlier today.
Who
I don't know the
contacted them?
exact-
Because after our conversation, I contacted them, and like I said, I feel bad, and can you expound on what the delays were?
The delay is my understanding is the board doesn't feel comfortable right now signing it, and they want to make sure that any future impacts to the township are more fully understood before we sign it.
So how are we gonna
Well, you wanted to
overcome
review,
that delay? for
you
the
wanted
next
to
meeting?
review you wanted to review the documents, correct, Mr. Evans?
I wanted them to review.
And
I am not, listen, please,
Do
let
you
me
have any
speak.
comments on them? On the
I am
documents?
not an expert in law, plats, zoning, and that. Typically, you have a planner which again, we voted to advertise last year and you refused. We don't have an experienced person in our office. We don't have access to outside counsel. So I do not feel comfortable without someone on our side that is competent, that is familiar with, I mean, even I talked to
That is the delay.
our administrator.
That's
the administrator.
No, but that she wasn't aware that there was an attorney, a special counsel that was dealing with the park purchase with part of this, I believe part of this land, and why aren't they involved? But again,
Did you remember the name of who that was?
No, I could get it, but my thing is, information's not being provided to our administrator. Mr. Burkholder, you're
That's
the one
not correct.
controlling everything.
That is not correct.
We've had 2 weeks until
You
this
are
meeting.
out of order.
and nothing's
Is there
been
going to
done.
be any other, well, Mr. Evans, let's set the record, hold it, set the record straight. We had a consulting planner who could have reviewed this. You and Trustee McKee refused to extend his contract, and at that time, you were told the consequences.
No.
That this would, just let me finish, this would back up every project that the township is looking at. We got about 10 or 15, plus all the other development inquiries, plus all the technical review committees, plus all, now let me finish because I know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do. And you said you had concerns because you couldn't review it, and you expect a single person who is trying to do the code enforcement and find out that process to review those documents. There simply was no one here to review that.
The reason that I did not vote to extend that contract was because you would rather have the $80 an hour person out of house and brought in instead of, it was unanimous on February 20th, 2024, that position be posted. And you refused for 314
I'm
days.
sorry.
And I said, if that is guaranteed, I would extend it for 90 days, and you refused to guarantee it
No.
because you withheld it for that
No.
long. But
Sir.
even during the consultant's time, he didn't address
There's
the
no,
review.
there's no use in arguing about this with Mr. Evans because he doesn't
No,
want to hear.
I apologize.
Is there any
to
further
the
action to
developer.
be taken on this at this time? And Mrs. Bedsole, do you recommend to be on the next agenda?
I do.
Okay, very good. We'll move on.
I mean, only because I would point out that we did not actually have the information. We've only had the information
Well-
for about 10 business that it was only forwarded to all of you.
No,
at
it
the
was
last
forwarded
meeting.
to the
It
fiscal
went to the
officer who
fiscal.
failed to forward it to us, and that
I indicated
meeting,
it was only
we were
sent to the
forwarded that
trustees.
information.
Item
so more than
C,
2 weeks
discussion
ago.
regarding, I'm sorry, Mr. Evans, I'm going to talk over you the rest of the night. If all you do is
No.
try to delay and create
All there
conflict
are
there.
are excuses without
Item
action.
C, discussion regarding employee health reimbursement account benefits card. I just got a comment. These cards haven't been working. They're on again, they're off again. So I just want that for the record. Do you have anything, Mrs. McKee?
The attorney for it wanted to have
Go
something
ahead.
to speak.
I'll give you some time. If you come to the podium, please, and state your name and address, please. Thank you.
Molly Gwynn, I'm the attorney for the applicant, AMH Development LLC. My address is 250 West Street, Suite 700. I just want to raise one question. Is there anything else that's needed by this board to conduct the review by the planner? There's a $17 million investment on this property. We would like to get this moving. And I also just want to point out that section 1703G of the zoning resolution indicates that the only review that is appropriate under the zoning resolution is substantial compliance with the final development plan. And we believe that this plat absolutely substantially complies with the final development plan. It is the same number of units. It has been approved by the county, and we'd really like to move forward with our development here. So that's all I'd like to say.
Thank you. And my only comment is, the definition of substantial. So I'm not saying it's not substantial or not in compliance. Our concern is always on those maintenance documents as it has to do with the stormwater. And I think we talked about this at the last meeting. And then also you do have, am I correct, some protective covenants to go with that?
There is an easement that is located on the property that's already been recorded.
Right.
And we obviously have already also submitted the stormwater plan.
Right.
And that's been approved as well.
Very good, thank you. Okay, I'm going to make a motion to approve the farm lease, or continue the farm lease with Kevin Miller. Is there a second? And then we can have discussion,
I'll
including...
second.
Mr. Miller, Mr. Keller, would you like to come forward and, does the board have any questions for Mr. Keller regarding the farm lease? And I believe we have those revenues too as well. Ms. Continue. Pardon?
Oh, Broyles Farm.
I made a comment on that. Did anyone else have a comment on the reimbursement? Have we had any more problems? I know we've had problems with those going through.
I don't think it's an issue with the benefits manager or anything else. There is, again, it was forwarded to all employees. Some have done it, some have not. The issue is the EOBs need to be provided to ensure that they're actually for things that should be covered under the plan. And unless they give the authorization, which took me 20 seconds to do online, they have to provide it. And if they don't provide it, they'll temporarily suspend the card. So that's what was going on. But as far as the members up here or the elected officials, we get the $2,700, the HSA. So unless there's significant usage initially, there shouldn't have been any card usage whatsoever.
Well, I can tell you there was some confusion because it came back from one of our employees to me that when they called in, they said the reason there was a delay was because they were still waiting on the township trustees to make a decision on something. So that's the first I heard of that. And you've been dealing with this, Mr. Evans.
No, I haven't.
So
the fiscal officer
we're getting
over,
we're getting
and
a
I've
lot
been
of,
excluded from
we're
that.
getting a lot of different stories. Well, enough for
No,
that.
this
But
story, you
if we have
gave
any
her
more
the authority,
complaints.
so what do you, again, you're blaming me for control that you refuse to let
No.
me deal with. And then when there's issues, you try to
No,
say,
you're
well, it's
just-
because you didn't do something.
No, I'm saying-
Just like our website that went down, you guys don't listen.
Thank you for the lecture. Okay. Questions regarding the farm lease. Mr. Keller, would you come forward and give us your proposal? You farmed our ground. You've been farming this ground for some time. You farmed it last year. I know we approved it. I don't know of any issues we had, so I'll let you.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
The only thing I did want to comment on was over the course of the last several years, you guys have acquired more parcels and added more pieces
Yep.
to it. And last year with the final, well, I'd say final, I'm sorry, the last ad you made was the Langle property, the rear of it. We chose not to farm that in its entirety due to the fact that they were putting the
Sewer.
pipeline through and
Yeah.
they were doing some stormwater restoration and so forth. My assumption is that this year that'll be looking more like a farm lease or farmland. So it'd be my proposal that we would add 12 acres to the total, bringing your total up to 72.17 acres. I'd be happy to sit down with somebody. I know in the past we went through these
Yes,
maps
we did.
and showed you each parcel you have and how the tillable acres goes.
Yep.
I do not have a picture of the Langle property the way it's carved out now, but just to kind of keep total transparency, I thought I'd say it's about 12 acres. Let's add that in the front
Okay.
instead of trying to figure it out in the end, if that makes any sense
Yes.
to you guys.
Yes.
We did increase the rent last year, and I'm willing to stay at that rate with the additional acres, so it would be a total, larger sum of dollars to you guys at the end.
What was that rate?
We started out $9,025 last year, and we would go to $10,825 this coming year. We're at $150 per tillable acre.
Yeah, 150.
Yes, sir.
So the revenue paid to the township last year was $9,025?
$9,025.50, yes, sir. And we pay that in 2 installments, March 15th and then November 15th. We pay half down and then half at the end.
My question on this is, while it's being farmed, we're paying real estate taxes, and our real estate taxes exceed the farm revenue. So if we just did it for township purposes, let it be, it would actually cost us less money.
In that NCAUV?
Yeah, but the tax bill for the our ours is divided into two parcels. The one parcel is $5,458.90. The other one's $6,319.28 for a total of $11,778.18. So if we're gonna get almost 11,000, so it'll be, we're about at $900 or $1,000 in the red on it. Why are we doing, why do we want to do it? Or if we just want to avoid brush hogging it every once in a while, I think those
It'd be
things should be.
11,000 in the hole? You'd still pay the tax?
No, if it's used for township purpose, we're not using it for
That's why you
township
use
purposes, so we
CAU.
have to pay that tax. As soon as we start using it for a park, which could be a natural field, natural whatever, we wouldn't pay the tax.
Right.
So it's costing us $900 to farm it. However, if you want to look at, well, we brush hog it, so that would be a cost. But if we just want to let it grow, we let it grow.
Well,
I just think,
But if you don't do agriculture, it'll go up to $24,000, because you'll be out of the CAU.
no, but our property, we don't pay tax on this.
Well, I actually have some experience with this, and I'll tell you, it's worth keeping it in farming, because to try to maintain 70-some acres, and I've seen this in other communities, and when it doesn't get maintained, and what it would cost for the township to maintain it would far exceed $1,000, I can tell you
Right,
that.
but I'm saying we should have that
Particularly with
discussion, because nobody else looked into property
Well,
taxes.
that's fine.
That's part of the proper due diligence of it, but
I'm
I just
gonna-
want to make sure we make an informed decision.
No,
But however, with this, I think we should have a written contract. We don't have one.
Yes, sir.
Oh, you do?
We had a 23
Yes,
contract.
we did.
Well, I saw the 23, but we
Yeah.
don't have the,
It was set to automatically renew as
Yes.
long as the board had approved. So I guess if you'd like a 25.
No, as long as it's automatically renewing, and I'm gonna move to accept the to move forward with the farm lease for 2025 with the new calculations and the new acreage, contingent upon verification of that actual additional. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? We've had the discussion, but go ahead, you got something else you want?
okay, there's two parcels here, 57 acres and 72.83 acres.
Yes, sir, that's what you own. That's correct. We were only talking about tillable acres. So I would
Okay.
only be discussing the
Right.
ones that we can plant.
Right.
So waterways, trees, and ponds and things like that.
Okay, because here it said total cropland. So you're
crop-
saying that includes?
Yeah, so cropland
non-tillable.
is like if you get your CAUV paperwork or your tax paperwork, it'll say cropland, meaning it could be trees, woodlands,
Okay.
lawns, any type of stuff. But what we're actually planting corn or row crops, soybeans to, is this reduced acres. And I would add, and because I know we've all talked about it, if we knew for sure the development of the park was 5 years away and we could do some benefit to the property to make it a better field, we could maybe turn a bigger profit. But with pipelines going through it and other things going through it, we're really kind of just doing each other a favor. I mean,
Right.
truthfully, that's how I feel about it. So.
Now, do you know where in here it states that it renews?
I'm sorry, I was going to read that again. I want to read the top of this one. I was going to read that for you.
Because I just see it's a 1-year lease.
Yeah, I'd have to read this whole thing through, and I could do that afterwards, or we could do whatever that you'd like to do.
Is yours a 1 page?
I have multiple pages with some.
Well, photo with the map, but the 1 page of the.
Yeah, is this what you have?
It says crop year 2023.
Yes, sir. That's what I have here.
I just don't see anywhere.
Yeah, actually, the wording has been changed from what I usually send out.
That's what I'm saying.
This is my verbiage, but it's not my verbiage. So obviously, there's been some changes
I
made to
don't
this.
know when that was changed. but
What I'm concerned is,
I'll make
and I'm in agreement that
I'll
keep
make
it.
for the year 2025.
Well, no, but what I'm concerned is this board is going to take action without documentation, without reading things, we got to do it right. And I think the one thing I would say in here, not saying that he wouldn't pay us, but there's no payment provision of when. I brought that up last time and it was, I don't know when payments are usually due, but Again, not saying that you wouldn't pay.
Well, I thought maybe by coming to you and telling you that there was more acreage this year, I was kind of, trying to be forthcoming with you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, but
I mean, I helped you get the CAUV set up. I helped you get all the maps figured
Yeah.
out the first time.
Yes.
I mean, if you'd rather let it grow up in the weeds, I'd be happy to.
No.
So that's up to you.
I just wanted
I'm
us,
sorry.
I just wanted us to have a discussion
Okay.
and
Move
everybody
to-
learn.
Kevin, thank you very much. I
Is
know
there any
you and
other
I worked
questions?
hard on this. You answered them.
And who will I be in contact with to get the next paper? I
It
want
would
to
be
get another
Mr.
contract.
Burkholder
Yeah,
or
well,
It should be
Administrator.
our administrator.
Yeah.
It will be,
Well,
Mr.
she's
Evans.
gonna be taking off soon, so I just wanna make sure.
I'm sorry?
Your last days, so I wanted to make sure you'll be here when he gets the paperwork to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can meet someone
Thank you.
somewhere tomorrow if you'd like the signature written. I pay my bills, sir. I didn't like that. I pay
No,
my bills.
I'm not,
So-
what I.
You said I wouldn't pay.
No,
I'll pay my
I said
bills.
I know you would
Okay,
pay.
okay, sorry.
But I'm one that,
There's a lot of stuff gets said here.
it's
I wanna
in
make
the
sure
detail,
that I pay
it's,
my bills.
I've got a fiduciary responsibility.
Yes,
and we should do it right. We
Roll
should do
call,
it-
please.
Yes, sir.
Call the question. Roll call, please.
Well-
Mr. Evans?
What are we voting on?
We're voting on this to continue the contract. So if there have to, with the additional acreage, if there have to be not modifications to the wording and the rate, that we're keeping it the same rate. Roll call.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Thank you, and thank you for coming.
And I'm sorry, this should have been worked out before and should have been easy.
Well, it could have been easy. Item E, item Scannell development issues. We've already had a brief discussion of this. The zoning, as far as moving some of the landscaping and the island out at the Scannell project, that is a zoning issue. And even the county has said it's a zoning issue. So you stated earlier that the landscaping and stuff is a subdivision, but that actually has to do with zoning. So that's why we wanted to give that update. There are certainly other issues over there still as well. We talked about it at the last meeting, the fact we had to have the as-bills. And again, you have to compare those to what the original plans had and to see if there was any variance there. And I think our administrator said it well. It is a very, very complex issue, and it has been going on many years. And there's more work to be done.
So do we have the as-bills?
We do. They
Can you
finally
share a
sent
copy of
them.
those?
You'll have to get with zoning. They came into Mr. Lance Schultz, so you'll have to ask, oh, that's right, he's not here anymore. So,
Yeah, why? Because you didn't want to properly
No.
post the position.
Mr. Evans, I'm only gonna say this because this constant false, you wanted security
not false.
cameras in that room and you
'Cause I was
put it into
attacked.
There you go. Enough said. Comprehensive, plan update. We do have version 7, which I believe has been put out on the listserv. We've tried to get it to the zoning commission, the BZA, and the comprehensive land use committee. I appreciate the remarks that I've heard here tonight by some of the members of their lack of confidence, and it relates to the motion that I actually wanted to see on this agenda. Mr. Evans, rightfully so, has been critical of the fact that our consultant couldn't get us the corrected version, or some of the changes you wanted apparently were not incorporated. And we had recent correspondence from Jim Leonard that he thinks that the comments you have now been incorporated into.
They have not.
Well, then tell us.
There's still errors. The future map still references 2011. There's so many errors, but I take umbrage with what Ms. King said. There was actually an individual removed from that committee.
We are not going to go after the committee or what took place in there, Mr. Evans.
Okay.
We're absolutely not going to
Well,
do
we're
it.
talking about the comp
You
plan.
stay on the comp plan.
Okay, the comp plan, we had the presentation June 28th.
We know
where you
that.
put the wrong map all over this.
No, we didn't.
When I
We put
warned for 2 months, you're
we
saying
put
you
up-
didn't put the wrong
We
map
put
up?
up a zoning map.
No, you put the future,
put
you
up
thought
a
it was the
zoning
future,
map. Mr. Evans,
future use map,
we've gone through this before.
but since.
Trustee McKee,
No, since
I'm going to give
June-
you the floor.
June 28th,
Okay.
you have done nothing with this.
That's
and I've
not
been
true.
the only one
No.
that has pushed this.
That's not true. We have repeatedly.
We're going on 3 years.
So I asked you 2 months ago, what's the solution? And you got with the administrator.
And we agreed that we didn't have confidence in this vendor, that if they're not gonna respond, and I still will say, we need to seek another vendor to review it and modify
Have you
it,
done
because
anything to do
there's
that?
no, I've been talking with the administrator, and now all of a sudden it's on the agenda.
Yeah.
But again, the draft 7, full of errors. Again, and when he responded last year with the corrections, it was the same documents as in April. I was the only one that noticed it.
Administrator Bedsole, what's your recommendation, given what you've?
I believe we should try.
Tonight.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, it was my understanding that we put it on there so we could have a discussion
Right.
about what the status is.
Yeah.
The plan, of course, is that we will make certain that the plan is that we'll make sure that the plan is accurate and up to date. I mean, I think that it behooves everyone to, especially if you're now saying that there are portions of things that you had indicated before that are not there.
And others.
Let me know what those are. I mean, it's not a final plan until we say it's a final plan. So to me, we're just still in the process of making certain that we get to the final plan, that we update all of the maps. I mean, part of it, again, you have to remember that this has more than just the working parts of what he's producing. We're still working on making certain that we're getting maps updated because of all of the things that didn't get, that were not filed previously. I mean, we are making certain that, I mean, this is it's really kind of a total project. We're making certain that our zoning resolution is updated because it has to be correct in order to reflect what's correct here and vice versa. And so, I mean, to me, where we are is we are simply in the process of making certain that the plan is correct.
Well,
now, do we use the committee again? Do we utilize the, I mean, we can have another open house. I don't know that we're at that point yet. Because to me, if you're gonna present that, you're now presenting what is your final product.
Well, to me, my concerns have played out, and the individual that was removed played out. I have zero confidence in the work product of this, because even in the beginning, there were numerous documents with other entities that he just cut and paste.
We know.
No, but we're talking about just making sure it's correct, making
Are
sure.
you willing?
No,
Are you willing to work
please
with?
listen, this is
Are
important.
you willing
But
to
what the
work?
administrator is saying is, well, we got to make sure that the incorporated change. I haven't even looked at the boundaries of where the new commercial should be. I mean, this is just the basic stuff. We haven't even gotten into it. But at one point, he was suggesting 5 gross density for the referendum property that, and it would have been over 750 homes, that the public turned down 336.
We discussed
in
that.
the discussions of that, numbers were just thrown out. Like, what about 4? What about 3? What about? There was no critical analysis, no due diligence, it was just kind of haphazard. And if you look at who was present at the end, we had 15 people on that committee.
Mr. Evans,
there was a handful.
Mr. Evans, we are very aware.
We need to.
We are very aware of the deficiencies.
What we need to do is hire
willing?
another firm, possibly Planning Next, to review this work product. Unfortunately, Mr. Leonard did not save the meetings as he was supposed to, so we don't
So
even
you're
have the
not
historical
willing to
value
work
of
with
it.
Mr. Leonard, is that correct?
What's that?
You're not willing to work with Mr. Leonard to?
He has not.
Yes or no?
No.
Okay, Ms. McKee, how do you feel on this?
Well,
we're going to move this along one way or the
because
other.
the fact that the board worked tremendously hard for the last couple of years. Mr. Leonard is the actual contractor that we hired. I think we should continue down that contract with him. We've already spent, $30,000 we paid?
Yes.
And so we still owe a little more to him. So I think we should continue with the same board and continue working with Jim Leonard. I just don't see Mr. Evans getting involved and to try to get it moved forward. I think it would have caused more problems. So I don't think he should. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
Well, the administrator.
I think that's what we have an administrator for.
don't have
Excuse me.
confidence in someone that
Excuse me.
can't deliver, so you believe that we should continue with
I
him?
mean, I
or-
feel that we have an obligation on our own part with any vendor to make certain that what is presented is accurate. And, I mean, the fact is that, I mean, I've worked with hundreds of vendors, and I can tell you that they all don't get it 100% each time.
But this
That's
has
why it
been
falls to us.
3 years.
And so, well, the timing of it, I mean, at the end of the day, the timing is irrelevant. It's only what we have as a final product.
But it's not good work product and
So,
good.
I understand, and sometimes.
Another firm could do a full in 6 to 8 months, so they could review it, that was planning next, which I provided that they were gonna give a review, go forward, do a new one, update it, and move forward, but,
Yeah, that's not my call, that's the call of the board.
but to have confidence in somebody that's gonna, to finish it, and.
You can have
again,
cautioned confidence.
No, but again, the whole process, you were in the beginning of St. Albans, like, it was cut in place, it wasn't directed for us, and.
We've gone over this a million times. We'll
I
move
don't have
on.
confidence.
We'll move on at this time, and if any of the trustees want to bring forward a motion to cut ties with this vendor and move on to another vendor, I suggest you bring it to the board.
Well, are we seeking the prosecutor opinion about breach of contract, and
I don't know, that was in the work. I thought there was a discussion on that.
where are we at that, or?
That is on the list. I mean, remember, it was a large list, and
Yes,
the
it was.
prosecutor's office can't do all of them at the exact same time.
And that's why we have to prioritize what's the action item that needs to be moved forward first. So if that's something that needs to happen quicker, that will be at the top of the agenda to get it done. But unfortunately, we have to go through the prosecutor even to get the answers that we need. We have to get a resolution passed, so it puts us a couple, weeks back, so.
Delays everything.
Delays, yes, exactly.
Item G, I'm going to move to, this is the investigation into the unauthorized access to the township banking accounts. I'm going to move that we forward this, I think the time has come to forward this investigation over to Bricker Graydon, and that will be my motion. Is there a second?
I'll second for discussion.
Yes.
Well, we don't have a contract with them, so we can't.
Yeah, we do. We have a continuing. It wasn't a yearly contract, and we have a motion later.
Per ORC,
To go for
it has
that.
to, outside counsel's gotta be yearly authorization, unless it's for a specific case.
This is what we ran into before last year, so the year before. So.
You had discussion, Ms.
Yeah,
McKee?
so you're saying you want to move the investigation to to Bricker and Grayson?
Yep.
From what I understood, our fiscal officer had been working with an investigator, is that?
It's not the fiscal officer's investigation. It involves the fiscal office, and we weren't even aware that that proposal was going to come forward. I think it's similar to what we've seen in other jurisdictions like the water and sewer. I think it's best done by a legal firm because they also know the legal ramifications. And I think we still don't have all the details on how this occurred. We have bits and pieces, but we don't
Ms.
have all the
Varian,
details.
did she not tell you? And it was December 13th, she called you.
I would be hesitant to discuss
No,
matters
this is December
regarding
13th.
the investigation.
She called Mr. Burkholder, told me, and I publicly requested as documents your call log, and you're refusing to provide that.
What did she tell you?
So.
What did she tell you?
That she told you she accessed it.
At whose behest?
What do you mean? No,
Who
nobody's
asked her to?
her. When the fiscal officer lied about the employees not being paid,
I'm not
she had
gonna
conversations
discuss-
with
I'm not
Mr.
gonna-
Coakley
I'm not gonna
and.
I'm not gonna discuss the
Yeah,
investigation.
but you
You make the
lied
assess-
when you said she didn't.
No.
So
I
why
didn't-
don't we
I
investigate the
didn't.
fiscal officer for lying to, she
Mis-
lied to Ms.
Mr. Evans, this is
Benzel,
about the
and
investigation.
she lied to the employees.
So, point of order. So we're going to, you're discussing maybe moving it over to Bricker and Grayson, which is our firm that we normally use for other.
Outside legal counsel,
Outside legal
yeah.
counsel for our township. So I know I've been through an investigation here in the township before with this, and I just want to be clear that it went to our outside counsel, but they hired a second party, a third party, I should say. So this is what would be the case, and then that would give us, you know, we'd be spending more money outside of the township. So I just want to make sure that you're aware that's how the previous.
Well, that's how they did it, but that's not necessarily, this is a different law firm.
Who's going to be the point person because?
The administrator will be.
Okay, because you mishandled the other.
Well, you can make all the accusations you want.
You
So
didn't give
I'll
me
call
any
I'll call the
representation.
question, please.
There's an email that states that.
I'll call the question, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
So-
Thank you.
Okay.
But it's a shame when the fiscal
I'll make a
officer
motion
told
to,
Mr.
you're out of
Burkholder he
order,
wants to
you're
lie.
out of order. I'll make a motion to continue the vendor contracts with McBride Dale, MKSK, Bricker Graydon, and Fischel Downing, Albrecht, and Rippenoff. And these are the different firms. They're specialty firms. Obviously, we have a labor attorney that we've worked with as far as union negotiations. Is there a second to the motion?
No, I'll second.
Okay, discussion?
Number one, you have the old contracts here. Per ORC 309-09, it requires annual authorization and resolution specifying the limit with the terms and a contract. We don't have a new contract here. We don't have a resolution. This is the same thing as the farm contract of here's the old one, and can't we do things properly?
Well, Mr. Evans, since you have this, did you bring any of this information to the?
I did not put this on the agenda, and I am not allowed to input anything or do
It's not
anything, so
true.
can't stop deferring to me when you're the one not dealing with this. So doesn't ORC 309-09?
I don't know that one off the top of my head, Mr. Evans. Administrator Bedsole, what would you recommend so that we can get these things moving forward?
Well, I do believe that if there's not language within the current previous contract that indicates an automatic renewal, then we may have to have a new contract for this calendar year.
Our contracts did also, the ones that we've reviewed, there may be one did not specify that it was only for the year 2024. It was a contract with the township.
Well, if you read ORC 309-09, there are two instances that we can employ outside counsel outside the prosecutor. It is on an annual basis or a specific cause. If what we authorized last year wasn't for a specific cause, a specific cause is like the NCA, we're reimbursing $590 an hour.
We had a pretty broad category of things that we authorized them to do.
This is about, no, it was for general services.
Well,
They look at the contract as
Mr. Evans,
general services.
Here's the thing about working together. When we have these things, you brought it up at the last meeting, why didn't you assist and bring this
I
information
contacted
forward?
the administrator and I did not get return communication, and that's happened previously, and No, don't start, no.
So what's the pleasure?
I actually said, but you have been a
what's the
trustee
pleasure-
for 4 years prior, don't you know
What's
the
the-
process?
Well, it's about us working as a team, Mr. Evans, and you refuse
No,
to
it's
do that.
following the law. This is the law.
You're not an attorney, I remind you, you're not a licensed attorney, keep that in mind.
And when I dealt with these attorneys
we
before,
might-
they specified what was
We
required.
might have to.
And I do have questions about the employment attorney because of all the errors in the
Mrs. Bedsole.
handbook and the union contract, whether that was because of McKee's direction or theirs.
Mrs. Bedsole, you're out of order, Mr. Evans. Do you have anything you want to say?
Just reading quickly 30909, it's a very long one, but it does allow for us to have a contract on a particular matter or on an annual basis, just to clear that up.
That's what I said. It has to be annual, general, or
I thought you said
particular.
only on a particular matter. So, again, unless it has an automatic renewal, then
I don't think we have an automatic renewal, it just didn't say on an annual basis. So given the law, can we specify here, or are we gonna have to have a specific contract for approval?
well, I mean, I always encourage us to have some kind of written contract only because that allows us to make certain that we know what the payment.
We had
services
previous
would
ones,
be.
so I will rescind my motion and make a motion that we reach out to these entities and have them provide specific contracts for 2025.
Well, for our minutes, point of order that once motion's made and seconded, you can't rescind and you can't.
I know,
so that needs to
Mr.
be part of
Evans.
the record.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you, Mr. Evans.
You are withdrawing your motion.
I'm withdrawing that.
But you can, once there's a second.
So I'm making a motion for the 2025, and is there a second to that? On these?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Abstain.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Williams Aristotle Pipeline Project, we have several representatives regarding this proposed project. I apologize for the delay, but if you would like to come forward, I welcome you, and please state your name and addresses, and you will have the floor to talk about the project, or the proposed project.
The proposed project, yes. Thank you, members of the board, residents of Etna. My name is Mike Hopkins. I'm a senior land representative at Williams. My office address is 2000 Commerce Drive, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 15275.
Just waiting in the wings.
Sorry about that.
Hi everyone, my name is Maggie Wallen, same address as Mike, and I do community and public operations for Williams, community outreach. And just to give you a brief overview, we own and operate more than 33,000 miles of pipeline across the nation, and we transport about a third of the nation's natural gas supply, and we have operations in 26 states. I do community outreach for Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. That's my footprint. Some of the things that we really care about are our community initiatives, giving back to the community. Just to show you a couple of things that we've done, we like to support schools, our first responders. Some things we've done in the past include providing schools with AED kits, paying for some of their programming to bring opportunities to the community and schools. For our first responders, we like to do trainings and tabletop drills at some of our compressor stations to make sure they know those areas well. We've also provided off-road vehicles and other equipment that they might need. Some of my favorite things that we've supported include different park projects, trout stocking, and supporting local community events as well. So in my role, I connect with local elected officials like yourself, chambers of commerce, community leaders, nonprofits, and other stakeholders. So thank you for having us today, and I'm gonna pass it over to Mike, and he's gonna talk a little bit more about our project.
Okay, so a little overview of what we're looking at here. So Williams, as Maggie alluded to, we're typically a gas gathering midstream company. So we work with the larger E&P, exploration and production companies, the Chevrons, Cabot's, EQTs of the world, and we build the pipeline infrastructure to gather that gas. So we'll gather it, we have different processing facilities all throughout the country, and then that's the gas that ends up eventually downstream into your homes. So we flow over about 30% of the nation's natural gas. So this particular project, as I explained to some of the board members, is a kind of a one-off for our company. Typically, like I said, we gather just from oil and gas wells. Primarily, there are other transmission lines that we have, and we have one of the largest transmission pipelines in North America that goes up and down the East Coast. But this project is unique in the fact that it would be our first pipeline project in this county, in this area. So you probably haven't heard of our company before. If you have friends in Carroll County, in that area where Encino is doing a lot of drilling, you probably have heard of us a little bit more. We do gather gas for those folks, Southwestern Energy. So this project, we're looking at about 25 miles of pipeline that would tie into 2 third-party pipelines. We wouldn't be drawing gas from any new wells in the area or anything like that. It would just be already gas that's flowing, and we would be distributing it to an industrial company in the New Albany area. So what we've asked the board for, and like I said, this is very preliminary. I just started this project. I think we kicked it off mid-December. So we're only about a month and a half into it. Right now, we're just looking at routes that we've done on computer tabletop. We do now have crews out walking, doing survey activities throughout the area. So if you have seen some folks wearing the jerseys, that might be some of our crew. It's a company called Verdantis, is our third-party contractor. So what we are asking the board's permission for today is just permission to walk the property across the street, right there off Route 40. No, just boots on the ground, no flagging, no staking, nothing. It would probably take us about 3 hours to get a crew out there just to look for a potential route. So they're just looking for any environmental issues, any constructability issues, any surface features that we might want to avoid. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. And in return, if we could develop a potential route, I did commit to the board that we would like to provide kind of a larger schematic of what impacts we would have throughout all of Etna Township. So us getting boots on the ground would allow us to do that, and then we can bring back our folks, our permitting folks, our road specialists, everybody that you might need or want to talk to about our project. We can bring them to the meeting as well, so you could ask those questions a little bit more specific. So right now, like I said, super high level, we just want to walk. That's pretty much all we're looking for right now.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Well, I did have a question. There's a map here with, is this a proposed route or?
That was just done on the tabletop. We haven't looked at it.
Okay.
It was, we're connecting A and B right now. So that route's gonna shift a lot, and
Because I'm just concerned, as the resident indicated, we've got so many easements on that property and so many, if there is a line, are you guys looking to purchase an easement? Are you looking, and as far as the use above that easement, are there restrictions? Are there, we're building a park.
exactly, that's why I brought her. This is where she
That's where I
comes
come
in.
in.
So I know you're just asking to walk it, but
Yes, sir.
I mean, I wanted to try to
No,
get
it's a great
some
question. So
information, especially with this being on our agenda, there's a lot of interest in the community.
Absolutely, we would design that route around your development plan. And we're willing to make a lot more accommodations on this project than we would typically. So we could bury it 5 feet deep so that you can put whatever you want on top except for building. I mean, aside from building over top of the pipeline, we would not be feasible. But as far as creating anything, access points, roads, that's not a problem. Parking lots, and even more specifically, is I think this is a great opportunity that if this project does move forward, is to utilize our company for that park development. That's what we can do, because we'll have the construction, the materials, we'll be able to help out. It could be just a reimbursement for somebody that you want to use, or utilize us for actual construction. We've done it in other places.
Yeah, there's a lot of flexibility with those kinds of things. I was gonna say, if you're concerned about, the row, we have a road, which is our right of way in Georgia that horses roam on. So we can definitely be flexible when it comes to designing those things.
The same thing with farming activities. I spoke with Mr. Keller. We would pay them for crop damages, and then you're welcome to farm it again. So no, the limitations are very minor.
And you might not be able to say, but there was a recent news article about the the gas generating electric plant up there for data center. Is this what specifically for that, or you can't really say?
I'm not at liberty to say.
Okay, I can.
But I may be able to say next time we visit.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if you let me.
And as far as walking it is, the only thing with liability, do you have like a form release?
I could release liability, we'll indemnify the board and the township, absolutely. And like I said, all they're doing is shooting in GPS coordinates.
I mean, I have no problem with letting them walk it, and as long as we have some release liability and.
Is there a motion to do so?
I will make a motion to move to
Motion by Ms. McKee, is there a second?
opportunity.
What is the motion to, I think we should clarify that, given the administrator the authority to sign the liability and let them.
Well, absolutely, that's assumed.
Yes, I can have that paperwork to you tomorrow.
Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Thank you very much, board
Thank you
members,
so
once
much.
again.
Sorry for the long night.
No, it was enlightening.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
To
everyone.
say the least.
It's just some fact sheets about our operations in Ohio. Sure.
Susan, can you have Holly copy that and get a copy to the board? Thanks.
We have the travel contract, which I have a motion, so we can take C along with F at the bottom, but there's been a proposal for a budget workshop for the permanent budget for Wednesday, February 11th, 2025. Will the other trustees be available for that?
At what time?
What time do you recommend, Ms. Coutinho? What was Chris saying, 6?
Yeah.
6 o'clock.
Okay.
Is that work for everybody?
I can.
Double check.
What?
Is it?
I can.
Is there a motion to set that date?
So moved.
Wait. What time is the zoning meeting?
6 o'clock.
It must be 4.
On Wednesdays, the zoning meeting?
We said the 11th, right?
Well, here it says
They're on
budget
Tuesday.
workshop for Wednesday, February 11th.
Well, with the 11th.
Okay, then it actually February the 12th, because Wednesday, February the 12th.
Well, is it February
11th.
12th?
Tuesday.
The 11th
Is it Wednesday the 12th or 11th, Tuesday?
Tuesday, the 11th is when the budget meeting needs to be.
Okay, we'll do it
So then we
Okay.
can't do 6 o'clock.
Then we can do 4.
That's fine.
Why couldn't Chris do a different date?
He gave me like 2 dates. This date and then another date.
Pleasure of the
I was
board.
out of town when he was giving me the other date.
What do you want to do?
I'm okay with the 11th. I have no problem with
4 o'clock?
I don't know if I,
Well, if you can't, Mr. Evans, just say so.
I don't know, I have it, I've got
That's
a
fine.
deposition with a threat against me on, I think, the 11th.
That's irrelevant. We don't need that information. And he can't change it to Wednesday.
How long do you anticipate it lasting? 1 hour or 2 hours?
1 or 2 hours, I think.
Well, I'm
So we
asking
start
if it's
at
only
4.
going to be an hour,
that.
then
6 will
we
be
can
on
start at 5.
We'll set it for 5.
On what day?
Same date, the 11th at 5
So
p.m.
Tuesday the 11th.
Yes.
If I can make it, I'll make it.
So it's moved on Tuesday, February 11th at 5 p.m. is the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Motion passes. I'll make a motion that we reinitiate the township administrator search, and we turn that over to the township administrator, and that she pull from the finalist pool that we've already interviewed for the second time, the remaining pool of what we had previously. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
I'll second for discussion, but
Go ahead.
shouldn't we search for new candidates? We don't even know if those are still even viable. I did have questions about I guess my concern is the current administrator, she's only here till the end of February, the search is, and that's gonna take much longer.
No, those candidates in anticipation of the urgency of finding a new administrator, the 2 remaining in the pool are still interested in the position. And do you have any comments, Administrator Betzel?
Only that, per our discussions, you do have a current active pool. It's less than 6, normally I don't go longer than 6 months. If the pool is older than 6 months, it tends to become stale. This pool is less than 6 months old. You did have, multiple candidates that you did second interviews on. It is my understanding that they have expressed interest in coming back, and that it would, this is just simply similar to when you have a candidate and you have to move down to the next candidate because that first candidate becomes unavailable. And so the thought was that you've already spent the money to get a viable pool. Why not utilize it for a second time, when in fact that was your viable pool and it's not that old?
I concur. The only thing I'm not Sure, but are you saying you wanted our administrator, our current administrator, Susan, to participate in an interview?
Well, to participate, we'd have to set up interviews again, which she could set up if the board participates in those interviews. She's the administrator till the end of the month. So, yeah, set up the interviews to.
Oh, okay, because I was gonna say, we've already interviewed these people that you just mentioned, the pool. We've already been in interviews with them. We know their backgrounds. We spent a couple rounds with them. So I'm not sure why we would have to go through the motion again to go through these if they're still available. So that's my
Personally, I'd like
opinion.
to see more candidates. I mean, there was a reason why we chose the candidate we did, and it doesn't hurt to attempt to find additional individuals because they might be available now.
Well, we have two that are available now, and so my preference is that we move forward with these two. And if they're still interested, it'll be a board decision that we move forward and make a decision and try to get as quick and smooth transition as possible, because that plus we have possibly a planner coming on board, we need to move with deliberate speed.
I just have a concern that Ms. Bedsole has a lot on her plate right now, and I'm just not seeing how we're going to be able to get the interviews interview for the planner, interview for the administrator, and then here's more things piling and piling and piling, and we're gonna have, a lot of things that we don't get done or overlooked. So I would say let's move forward with the administrator position as soon as possible. I think that should be a priority for us as a board.
I concur.
And why wouldn't we just advertise to see if there's anybody else?
Because that would delay us, and we don't
No,
need to delay.
you
So
do
you
that
complain about us delaying.
while you're talking to
Well,
the others.
we appreciate your comments, Mr. Evans, but I think there's, from what I'm hearing, consensus at least among two members. So I think we have an opportunity. Both have expressed. I don't know who will choose, if anyone, but I think we need to move forward. So with that said, I'll take a vote, please, because that was the motion.
Mr. Evans?
No.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes. Now, I don't understand, he's saying no, but he's the one that's complaining that we're not getting anything done, so.
Because you have to
Thank you,
do
Mason.
it properly, and you have to do it.
All right, Mr. Evans. That's why we interviewed several people that didn't qualify for boards and
And there
put
was
on the boards, and they were
I'm
interviewed.
going to make a motion to appoint Trustee Evans as the lead trustee to work with the township administrator on the treble contract. Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Yeah, but this has to do with the treble contract, which is why I skipped over that C on that.
What was your motion? I'm sorry.
To appoint Trustee Evans as the lead trustee to work with the township administrator on the treble contract, which is the aggregation. There was a second? Is that correct?
Yeah, second for discussion.
Okay.
I know that, Mr. Evans, are you willing to work with Mr. Treble? I mean, with them.
I don't
know
think
they've
there's a
been
Mr.
trying-
Treble.
I mean, not Mr. Treble, I'm sorry, Mr. Terry, sorry. I know they've tried to reach out to us to try to get some movement on this.
No, I
and bring
think,
it to them at the board.
I'm concerned that, number one, they still have not provided the public records requested. They have not provided contracts. They have not, and this is something that, again, Mr. Burkholder ran on, that going to hold them accountable and get the documents. Nothing's been done.
Which contract are you talking about?
The treble contract.
Well,
Which one? There's a service contract. You mean the contract?
There's two contracts that they
Yes.
say is secret, that many people have put forward a records request for, never responded to. But the issue that we have now is Ms. McKee approved a 5-year underlying contract.
That's not correct.
Yes.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not, Mr.
There's
Evans.
a 5-year underlying
It's not
contract.
a 5-year, it's a 41-month. I looked at the contract. You haven't been paying attention. And I sent that out. I got the signed
Okay.
contract.
It's longer than the
We understand.
initial
That's why you brought these
term.
things up previously. Are you willing to take the lead on it, yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes, because I'm
Okay.
very knowledgeable about it.
Okay, that was the whole idea. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Got that sausage made, but it was tough.
Yes, it was.
Well, I'll get it done.
Well, we'll see. Is there a motion to appoint Mr. Evans as the lead trustee to work with the township administrator on the comprehensive plan and schedule an open house? Is there a motion? Motion by Mr. Evans. Is there a second? Is there a second? Dies for a lack of second, and I base that lack of second based on comments from.
And I've been the only one trying to hold accountable and get the stuff done. We're going on the third year.
No, you haven't, Mr. Evans.
Yes, I have.
Building maintenance, I'll make a motion for Trustee Evans as the lead trustee to prepare maintenance plans for all township buildings. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, discussion.
Once again, you remove all duties from me, that when you cannot perform yourself, and you even said during the election, I'm not for you addressing the doors, that's the administrator's responsibility, let them do it, I'm not. There is so much nonsense going on, but I have no problem doing it because the roof on the garage building has been falling down for a year, you have done nothing.
No, I have.
No, what? A contractor came out last summer and nothing. We have the roof section falling on our equipment, getting wet for over a year.
I know.
And I've already got a contractor
Good.
that's given a bid.
Good.
So this board, I'm gonna get a final estimate Thursday, within 2 days.
Good.
And
That's
the
what we
estimate
wanted.
is about, well, why couldn't you have done that? You had a year.
You were
You
voting
had
2
a
years ago
year.
and you never did anything. By
You
the other
had a
trustee.
year.
Why didn't you do it?
Same reason
I'll
you
call
didn't
the
buy a
question.
post driver.
I'll call the question. Roll call, please.
Again, I'll do
Roll
what
call,
you
please.
can't do.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
And on the road crew and maintenance stuff,
You're out of order. You're out of order. You can bring it at a later date. We're not going to continue to have you add
so the
stuff
safety of our road
I
crew
know,
is of no concern of you?
I know about the post, and they have to get the quote, so get a quote on it. Bring it to the board.
Are unbelievable.
Resolution,
They gave that to you last
resolution
year.
2024-004 to approve the purchase orders. So moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Questions, discussions?
Hold on. Bringing it up on our diligent software system that we should be using.
Well, what's preventing it from being used?
You.
No, I'm not.
Yes.
I have nothing to do with
You
it, Mr. Evans.
you were over the staff that prevented this, and so you prevented me from working with Holly in getting this
Oh,
implemented.
that is incorrect.
It is.
Oh, no. You have said, Mr. Evans, that you will not come into the town hall because you don't feel safe. You said it at the
No,
last meeting.
the agenda's not even posted on our website. How many times have I said that? There's no oversight, there's no
You
support
take
to
it
our
up
staff.
You take it up with the administrator.
Our road
Mr.
crew
Evans.
can't even get proper equipment. For over a year, they've been asking you, and you've done nothing.
Okay, are we approving this? I'm ready to go home.
Was there a second?
Oh, we did a second.
You did a second.
Roll call.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Motion passes. Motion to ratify the payment of the bills is shown on the payment listing. Is
So
there-
moved.
So moved. Is there a second? Mr. Evans?
Sure, I'll second.
Okay. Questions or discussion?
I have a question, why they're not in the system, number one. So now I've got to go and find emails where they've been provided. But my question was on the Chris Kirby one, what was the amount, I've asked for the actual invoice provided, it wasn't provided, but it was $312 and some cents, or he's getting how much per hour?
45.
45.
What's he billing by? Every 6 minutes, every?
Quarter.
Can we see the invoice? I asked for it. I mean, I don't need it right now, but.
That's good, because my computer's dead.
She's getting a new one, thank goodness, this month.
Yeah, February 18th, to get a new computer.
Very good.
All right, so you gotta pass this.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, two things.
Yes, go ahead.
I got a note from Ohio Department of Transportation saying that I need to sign this Township Highway System mileage certificate, but it has trustees' names on it. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, we have to certify the mileage, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think you guys just sign it.
Well, we have to approve it, and then we sign it.
Which is fine. Yeah,
So moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Orlando.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
Yes.
Okay, at the end of December, I just got the statement done this week. There was $8.8 million in the banks. Okay? Outstanding payments were $52,000. We had receipts of $394,206. We also had JED's money come in this past month.
Thank you, Jackie.
I'm not quite sure where they went, but I did have JED's money. I did hand them to you guys.
I have a question
What's your question?
regarding the payment of the bills. Mr. Evans, are you going to continue to not sign the checks? Because several times now, there are only 2 signatures. Is there a reason for that?
Because I was being threatened, and I don't feel like being around the township, and also upon my attorney's advice to not deal with the nonsense and let something happen. Because if you recall, there was a zoning inspector that charged at me over the desk. There was threats in here, numerous threats in here made.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna sit around and let something happen. I've got a CPO hearing coming up on it. I take my safety and my life seriously, whether you do or not. But it's interesting, you didn't say anything when Ms. McKee wasn't signing checks, but you want to say something about me. It only requires 2 signatures, so nothing's happening there. But if I need to come in and sign something, I will. But again, until this nonsense of the threats stop, I'll come in afterwards if needed.
Very good. Public comments. We got everything passed, right? You have everything?
So
Okay. Public comments, 2
you
minutes.
signed in the wrong area. You want to fix that?
Anyone that wants to, that's the area that was signed. Well, you don't have to sign it anyways, right?
Well, that one, I don't know. Some things require 3 signatures, but
Mr. Perkins?
so we'll just
2
have you
minutes.
sign twice and can't even sign it back.
May I start now?
Yep, go ahead.
Thank you.
You're good.
Steve Perkins, 7352 Palmer Road. I'm hoping that if I look at Mr. Evans, I don't get a CPO. Anyway, it's really entertaining to me to have Mr. Evans once again bring up a bunch of stuff about building maintenance. If you want to go back to the September 6th meeting of 2023, which was, by my count, 517 days ago, he pointed out, while lambasting other members of the board, that the doors on this hall are rusty, and I can verify that as of today, they're still very rusty. Then came a month after that, my gosh, it was great, he was going to finally get it done. And that's probably still at least, let's just call it 500 days ago anyway. And nothing has been done. So here we are again, and at that same meeting, he also pointed out that, man, if you don't fix these doors, and how could you not fix these doors, because you obviously don't care about the public safety. You know, tonight it's, the roof is going to fall in on the road crew. You know, there's hyperbole much, but anyway. So I'm really entertained at this idea that he is going to head up this building maintenance thing. I just hope that we get a little better response than we got on the doors, because, you know, they're doors.
30 seconds.
So, I mean, there's 4, maybe 5 of them. Real complex challenge for someone who works in the building industry. I haven't quite gotten around to seeing how many bids that he actually got for that work, but I'm pretty sure that there's maybe 1, if that. So Just take that for what it is. So if you're interested in seeing that conversation that happened on September 6th of 2020, oh geez, I gotta check what year now, 2023. It's about the 10-minute mark. So if you can check that out and see exactly how that went down. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'm going to say something. A couple of things. The motion to appoint a trustee to work with the comprehensive plan, and that died for lack of second. So is the comprehensive plan continually in limbo? I mean, this has been a long time, guys. How hard can it be?
Well, I'm more than happy to answer that question. It's a false statement that we haven't made numerous attempts to get a hold of Mr. Leonard. And every time it comes through, now there's version 7. I presume Mr. Evans has looked at that. He said there's still errors there. I don't know what those errors are. I don't know if he's reached out to Mr. Leonard, but at this point, if we're not going to get movement on either side, then I think I'm open to any proposals that the trustees want to make, but we may have to go ahead, get a definitive answer and move on and get another firm to finish that off. But there are things that, So,
okay, second related point, and that is this pipeline construction. They're already gone. But I'm just wondering, would that interfere with our non-existent comprehensive plan? Would that, go through somebody's yard, or I don't know. You need to think about that.
That's a good point, and we'll see what they come up with as far as the mapping. Anyone else? Thank you.
Chuck, I could share with you the map that they provided, but I'm concerned it's going straight through the park, and we've already got easements. We don't already have a map of all the easements. The park committee doesn't. It's concerning.
Okay. Yeah, Mr. Evans, you didn't answer Gary's question there when you said that Julie checked the accounts and she checked, did she just spontaneously, while you're an hour and a half away, as you say, decide to check 2 hours? Who cares? If she just decided to check that on her own?
Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah, it was on
your
request.
I called and asked what the confirmation process was, because I've never heard an ACH being messed up by the bank, and neither did the bank. So she told me that they sent a confirmation email, because I wasn't sure if it was on the screen or not. So that's what she told me. So then I called the bank, and they provided the information that showed that Ms. Coutinho lied to the administrator and staff.
We've heard all that before, because you say it over and over. Let's work on, you put all that in motion.
No,
Julie
not
being
paying,
involved.
not paying.
Okay,
No.
hold it. Eddie, finish up your comments. We're not going to have a back and forth on that active investigation.
Well, it seems like Mr. Evans, or Trustee Evans here, has precipitated Varian checking into the bank, because why would she have any reason to log on 6-8 months after she's left?
Staff member contacted her,
I don't
and
believe that.
she has been helping Ms. Coutinho.
No way. I don't believe
So, after you took office, she's never helped you?
The first month, yes.
Yeah, 1 minute.
Let's move on.
This is all a cover-up.
1 minute.
So on this Facebook stuff where you're constantly, driving people out, I guess you don't have enough people to attack in Etna. Recently, you, in your male Karen of Etna role, you threatened a young mother in Pataskala who had found a dog, and you threatened her and said, quoting the law, and you kept attacking, and then you sent her address and saying you'll send the authorities.
30 seconds.
I think this can be kind of threatening to a young mother
That's not
with
true.
small children. None of that's true.
You're mischaracterizing it. If someone finds a dog, you don't just keep it. She was gonna just give it away.
We're
If
talking
somebody
about
found my pet and was not gonna try to find the owner, because it's documented that she was just gonna give it away
Time's
without
expired.
the required ORC time to find the owner. The
I want to
truth
add back my
matters.
time for when he's yakking. I'm owed 25 seconds.
Well, I'm gonna deny it this time because we shouldn't continue to have this back and forth and.
I understand.
So, at this time, you can come to the next meeting.
I would assume if somebody found Trustee Evans' pet, the pet would be big
I'm
to be
sorry,
taken to
I've
a
offered
shelter.
to sit down with you
Anyone
and
else?
discuss anything
Anyone
you
else at this
refuse.
time?
You just want to attack without any response.
Like you do on Facebook and then.
Trustee comments?
No,
You got
Oh, I'm sorry, Matthew.
I just think after seeing some of what's happened recently, if the board is going to seriously look into an investigation of this, I think you maybe need to pass a non-disclosure resolution amongst the trustees so it can stop being talked about in public before we face further litigation and costs that we've already incurred.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Trustee comments?
Yes.
Ms. McKee?
No,
Go ahead, Mr. Evans.
no, you can go. And I'll proceed after.
Well, I think that we need to really calm down these meetings. I'm just feel bad that we are having these discussions turning into arguments to supposedly fights, and then it continues out on Facebook in this evening, every evening after the meeting. I became a trustee because I wanted to help my community. I care about my community. I love Etna. And I believe I try to bring professionalism to a board as long, and Mr. Burkholder the same way. I had a career and I had to get along with other people. I had to work with others. And I want to continue to do that. But, you know, having these fights and then these being accused of things that's not true, and you have to pick your battles. I won't go back and forth with the lies that's being told up here from one of the trustees, but every now and then you'll hear me respond to them. But we just have to remember, we are a board, we're here to take care of the business of the township, not to fight. And I just wish things would just calm down. It just seems as if these meetings have gotten really hyped more so in the last month. So just, let's try to do better.
Thank you.
My comments are, some people doing wrong don't like accountability. It's rich to hear Ms. McKee talk about we got to work together and when she did nothing but block records, that's why there's locks in the roll down of that zoning office. They actually allowed the zoning officer to hide records on Skinell, no less. And without any admonishment or you must provide records. We should be equal, and Mr. Burkholder ran on that. In the first meeting, he went against that. He's kept no promises whatsoever, and I keep hearing about these doors. When you try to, at the end of the good weather season, go into the bad weather, people's schedules aren't just open, and if they are open, there's the question. I did get a bid, and what are you going to have them do? Tent the building so they can repair it? No, you do it later. But then again, Mr. Burkholder said, I'm not for it. The administrator, which at the time was the prior administrator, should do it. But again, he's not being truthful about that. But all this stuff, again, what was accomplished tonight? Not the Broyles plat, not the contracts, not the anything. It's always just, oh, I don't know, or just throwing it on there. And even with the public, I finally got, after months and months and months of asking for the bank statements and the STAR accounts, finally got it. So I appreciate the fiscal officer finally gave the board public records that were requested for quite some time, but were purposely withheld. That's not right. That's not normal. That's not, again, normal people don't do that. But as far as, like I said, the investigation,
Normal people.
the employees weren't paid, and that was the main issue. And all of a sudden, it's just, that really doesn't matter. And like I said, the bank, I found out from 2 bank employees that an email was sent, well, not even from them that it was sent before, but I publicly requested the email from the fiscal officer, and it took months, I believe, to even get that copy because she was notified more than 24 hours prior that that wasn't gonna go through, the employees weren't gonna get paid, and nothing was done. That's the mismanagement we're talking here. And again, if you look at our website, minutes aren't up there, the agenda for this meeting's not up there. These are simple things that need to be done, and they're not, and our staff is overburdened. And this is not a criticism on our secretary.
Oh, yes, it is.
There's so much on her shoulders, and the resources aren't being given to her, where she's expected to do zoning, she's expected to do all this stuff. When we had that consultant at $80 an hour and all those other outside consultants, McBride Dale and all that, nothing was being done. All the zoning map and our actual zoning on the website, still not correct. And Lance,
Are you done?
even our administrator, I asked, why didn't Lance
Are you done?
handle that Hillview vet thing before he left? She didn't even know. There's a lack of accountability and oversight, and
That's not true. He was working with the administrator, and he ended on December 31st.
so where
because you
are we?
wouldn't
So
renew
where
the
are we?
contract.
So where are we at it? But this, what wasn't allowed to be brought up before. The road crew has been asking for over a year for a pneumatic post hole pounder, so it's safer. So it's a safety issue too, Mr. Burkholder. I don't think you probably ever pounded a post, and I'd like to see.
I've run so many campaigns that I got a scar on my thumb where I missed pounding the post.
The
So don't
safety
tell
of
me.
our employees, why don't you laugh at them when they're telling me about their safety concerns and how they're almost getting hurt.
Are you done?
With that, where they brought it to you after the
Are you
last
done?
OTA meeting last
Are you
year,
done?
and you have ignored it.
No. Are you done?
You ignored everything.
Mr. Evans, you attack every me. Are you finished?
No.
Do you have anything else? Move to adjourn.
Let's just move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Burkholder?
Yes, thank you.
Ms. McKee?
And I got an email, where's the information on the Caldo concrete buildings, there's so much being mismanaged and ignored. And again, I've had no power. And you want to run for clerk, that's a laugh. You're not going to get in that office.